6. Just get a notebook open here. All right. Run down the list here. Rob Hoyerman here. Ed Kastner.
Here.
Keisha Lee.
Here.
Carla Patterson.
Here.
Jim Person.
Here.
Sue Rich.
Here.
Mary Kay Sandu. All right. All hands on deck. All right. Mayor Springer.
I'm here.
Thank you. Barb Sontag.
I am here.
And Beverly Tucker Knight.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Item 1. That concludes item 1. On to item 2.
Oops. Okay, and this is where it all falls to pieces because I can't figure out how to advance it. There we go. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Hearing from citizens disappeared, but I don't think we have any. I don't know.
Communications
Out of order. There we go. Hearing from citizens.
Okay, that's okay.
I am not a panelist, so I can't see.
You should be able to see, Beverly, you are a panelist now.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't appear as though the ANWADs are on. AWADs.
Okay. Okay. Great. In that case, Rob, do you want to move on to communications?
Yeah, okay. Communications.
Okay, we've received one email and I'll zoom in on it. Is that legible?
Mhm.
Okay.
Very nice.
To be able to hear you. And
I don't want to be heard. Hi, I'm here, guys. I can hear everything. It's Mary Kay.
Mary Kay? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Did I end it? Okay.
Okay, so Rob, I don't know if you want to read it or how you want to get through it.
Commissioners, if you can see the communication, just take a look at that. Looks like Commissioner Kastner's good work is being recognized here.
Who is this young man?
Okay.
And do we need to do anything with that, or?
I don't think so. I respond to them and did tell them who Ed was, and I said I would share this with you all. And then I also asked them if they wanted to continue to get updates as we start the outreach for the park master plan implementation, and they said yes. So I have a special list I've added them to. Okay. So with that,
I would like to underscore the amount of work that Ed did to do that. I mean, it's just amazing. And every time I walk down it, there's someone there walking along.
Yes.
So
I was on it yesterday, and four different people passed me at different times. It was amazing.
Yep.
Yay, Ed.
I'm going to shut my door because the vacuums are going. So since I have this screen open, Barb, would you be able to add Matthew in?
Sure. Okay, Matthew, I'm going to be moving you to a panelist, and so we'll be able to, if you turn on your video and your audio, you will be able to speak to the commission, but you probably know more about this Zoom thing than I do.
I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to Matthew Awad. Matthew came to us in the I guess the late fall or winter, very interested in doing an Eagle Scout project with us, and he has persevered through the whole pandemic doing an incredible amount of research. So I'm very excited about this presentation he's going to give you today, and I I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait for you to see it. And I'd like you all to meet Matthew. And Matthew, you are, I forget which school you're attending.
I go to Ladue High School.
Yes, Ladue High School. Yes, great. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Matthew, and Matthew is going to share his screen with you.
It says I can't share while.
Oh, I need to stop sharing. Yep. There we go.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tucker Knight, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Awad. I am 14 years old. I live in Olivet, and I'm going into 9th grade at Ladue High School. I'm a Boy Scout in Troop 21, and I'm working towards my Eagle Scout. My project that I'm proposing to you tonight is the Stacy Park Prairie Educational Signs. Stacy Park is frequently visited city park by the residents of Olivet year-round. It is one of the few places in St. Louis that has a prairie which serves as a rare natural resource in a suburban area. However, this prairie is vastly unmarked and unrecognized by the people who visit this park. For this reason, I propose to install 4 signs throughout the trails that run through the prairie. These signs will be educational and informative, so people will know what plants and animals the prairie holds. They will also be attractive and professional appearing with bright pictures and eye-catching and informative diagrams. They will also be high quality, made with weather-resistant materials, so they will stand the test of time. The overall goal will be to increase the enjoyment and appreciation for the natural beauty of the prairie in Stacy Park for all our residents. This is a satellite view of Stacy Park, and you can see the prairie is in the blue circle. Close-up view of the prairie, and you can see the 4 stars right here are where I propose to put the sign. So 2 would go on the existing trail right here, and then the other 2 would go on the 2 entrances to the trail that will be implemented in the coming months. This is one example of a park sign from Forest Park. This is a view of the front of the sign, and you can see there's lots of colorful pictures, informative text, and there's also even a map down here, which is helpful because it shows you where you are. This is the back view of the Forest Park sign. My second example is from the Danforth Plant Science Center. This is a view of one of their signs, and you can see they as well have bright pictures, informative text, and they even have a picture of the Danforth Center itself. I also noticed that they have a map of the prairie and the path that goes through it. So it's very helpful because you can see where you are and where the other signs are, so you can walk towards them. This is the back view of the Danforth sign. The third example is from Pulse Design, which is an outdoor sign company. Here are some examples of their products, and as you can see, they're very detailed, colorful, and have lots of diagrams of plants and animals in the prairie. And these are just some examples from their website. And also from Pulse Design, they have the options for the base of the sign. So you can see the 4 options here would be for the sign bases. So I have many phases to my project. And the first phase was to prepare the project plan. Then I recruited the Olivet horticulturist, who's Brian Ascona, to help identify and catalog the plants and animals in the prairie. Then I'm here tonight to get approval from Olivet, my troop, and then the Eagle Scout Committee. I will then acquire the necessary permits I need for the project, and then design and order the signs. And once the signs are here, finally assemble, and then install the signs. The materials that I will need, which I'll get from the sign company, will be the 4 printed signs, the bases, and the bolts that will be needed to attach the signs to the bases, and then the anchoring material such as concrete to anchor the signs to the ground. Tools that I will need, it will be a computer for designing the signs and submitting them, and then the various hardware and tools for actually assembling and installing the signs. The permits and permissions I'll need will be from the Olivet City Parks and Recreation. That's why I'm here tonight. My Troop 21 committee, the Eagle Scout committee, and the Missouri One Call System, also known as the Dig Right, so I can dig holes in the ground. This is some budget information from the Danforth Science Center, and this is for their 5 signs, and you can see theirs totals to be about $24,000. Their 5 signs. This is the budget information for post design, and this would be for 4 signs. So you can see here there's 3 tiers, low, mid, and high, and the main difference between these tiers is the amount of customization. So low would be no changes, mid would be less than half the sign changed, and high would be a full customization of the sign. So at the low end, it's about $6,480, and the high end would be about $11,520. And these prices already include the 20 to 25% discount that they give for scouts. The size would be 24 by 36 inches, and the prices already include the sign artwork, printing onto 1/8 inch aluminum, shipping, and their simplest base. Lastly, I would need to customize the signs after, I would need to customize the signs to make them unique to Stacy Park. And that's why I got Brian Escona to show me around the Stacy Park Prairie and identify the plants and animals as you can see here. Finally, I would like to acknowledge Ms. Beverly Tucker Knight, Mr. Don LaChance, and Mr. Brian Ascona for all their help in my project so far. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I will now take any questions.
Awesome job.
Thank
Should
you.
I stop sharing or?
And yeah, absolutely. And then I'll start.
Good job,
sharing
Matthew.
again. Yeah.
One question that I would have is that on an annual basis, we burn the prairie, or we create a fire. Will the signs be able to be removed during that time frame, or what will be done? 2 of them seem to be right in the middle of where we burn the prairie.
Well, I would put the signs in a spot where the fire wouldn't affect them, so they wouldn't need to be removed. I would put them next to the path, and the 2 signs that seem like they're in the middle of the prairie, those would be at the ends, the 2 ends of the sign that the trail that is gonna run through the prairie that will be built soon.
Beverly, does that work?
It does, yes. So Brian plans on laying out that trail over the winter, and we would absolutely position those signs so that they wouldn't have to be in the line of fire. The path itself is going to be very similar to the Shaw Nature Preserve path, which is very wide. So if it ends up being kind of on the entrance to that, it should be okay. And we do burn around the wooden telephone poles, and we let those down in advance and put protections around them to make sure that they don't burn up during the fire. So I think that these signs, I think that they will be unharmed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Matthew. It's not necessarily, maybe not for you, but more for Beverly. in the design of the sign, is it going to match the signage or be similar to what we're already planning for signage throughout the city?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the reasons we're talking about not buying the one off the shelf and doing the customization to make sure that it meets the wayfinding criteria and is our template. We'd also like to make sure that the photos in there are actually our photos. So they show in there the burning of the prairie. So we have a really nice library of our own prairie burns that we'll be able to put in there. So it'll be our own people in there. So absolutely, we'll customize it. That's a really good point because we really want to make sure that all of our signs are really matching our branding and our wayfinding.
Hey, Matthew. Hello.
Yes.
What are your plans for raising the money?
Well, I'm planning on getting the money. It's gonna be part of the budget thing.
Yes. We talked about the fact that this is something that is in our park master plan and it's in our budget that we created for the wayfinding implementation. So that I am recommending that we fund it through our capital project and that we submit it through the capital project budgeting this winter. And then the work that Matthew's done has saved us an incredible amount of time with the research he's done, similar to what an intern would have done coming to us from a university. And Matthew also followed our purchasing guidelines. He read through our RFP requirements so that this project is ready for us to put out to bid. So we wouldn't necessarily go with the company that he's done the research with, but we will do a formal RFP for various sign companies. But this really gives us a really good, solid basis for building that RFP as it goes out.
And it sounds like, Beverly, you're leaning more towards a full customization of the sign as opposed to stock images that they would provide?
I'm thinking that it would be a hybrid. So I want to make sure that we have our photos on there and I want to make sure our logo's on there and that we're following the template of the wayfinding. But they do have some really nice stock images of some of the plants. So if there's a way we can bring it down and do the hybrid and not the full customization, that's an option. But this is right in line with what we had budgeted for these interpretive signs. So I think that either way, I think we're okay for building the capital project as a contingency. I'll put the highest amount and probably then put a further 20 to 40% increase on it just in case, because you just never know when you get out and actually do the bids. I'm hoping that similar to other things, as we're going out to bid with projects right now, some of them are coming in cheaper just because of our current economic climate. So there is a chance there may be some cost savings down the road. But then again, the materials, there are some shortages in some of the types of materials, so we can't guarantee that. We really want to make sure that contingency is built into the project so we don't do the RFP and then realize we don't have enough budgeted.
So Beverly, you would look at this as a standalone project from the wayfinding, or would this be part of the wayfinding?
I think this would be a standalone project because the wayfinding itself, when that goes out, that's for those directional signs and the anchor signs. This interpretive one is very different. And if it were going out through that whole process, it would probably have to be a subcontract out because the typical sign manufacturing companies are not the ones that are giving you that detail for the interpretation. So if we were to do them all at once, if we had all the images and the artwork ready to go, we could conceivably do it as part of that, but it's such a different style of sign that I don't think that there would be that economy of scale because it's such a different construction than the signs that'll be the park signs and the wayfinding signs themselves.
Well, Matthew, while I'm disappointed I can't donate money for this one, if you need a volunteer to help you install, I'd be more than happy to help you. It's a wonderful project and you did an awesome job. Thank you for presenting to us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Matthew, this is Carla. I just had one question for you. You did a very nice job, great presentation. I echo what Ed said. But I'm just wondering, how did you choose this as your project?
Well, I live very close to Stacy Park, and I go there a lot. And about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I noticed, because there's a main loop that goes around the park, and then I noticed there's this side path that goes down there, and I thought it was just some old abandoned like shrubs and like forest or something. So I didn't think much of it, but then when I met with Miss Tucker Knight, then she told me that it was actually a prairie. So, and I think that's what most people think is it's just like an abandoned lot with like overgrown shrubs or something. But so I think it would be very helpful to make signs and actually designate that as a prairie so people will notice it. And also, once I complete the project, I'll be able to go there a lot and see something that I did. And maybe if it lasts long enough, I could maybe take my kids or something and show them.
That's awesome. No, that's great. Nice work.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
So what is our next step that we need to do? Do we need to approve in concept of the project and then work from there?
You can accept the design and you can recommend that staff implement it.
I would move that we do that.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Matthew, thank you for a great presentation, a great idea, and all the follow through.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on,
just one quick question. Who will coordinate with him on that?
We will. So I will work on it. Brian will do some additional work on it, and then we'll build the capital project and submit it during the regular budget process.
Okay.
All right. Next item is the approval of the prior meeting minutes. Everybody want to take a look at those, and we'll entertain a motion when ready.
Please let me know if you're having trouble reading them, because I can zoom in more.
Please do that. Thank you.
I move that they be approved.
I second.
All those in favor to approve the minutes as presented?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move into the Great Rivers Greenway, and Barb is going to help me out with this. This is an update on the extension of the Centennial Trail as it comes through Olivet from its current endpoint at 170 and Olive, and it'll transfer through across the city over to Warson Road. So to start that off, I'm going to give you a quick update, and what we have here are 2 videos that Great Rivers Greenway has prepared that give an overview of how we got to where we are now, and then an explanation of the current stage that we're in. And they're short, but they're so informative that this actually would be the fastest way for us to give you all the information. So I'd like to go ahead and start the first one for you. Let me back it up. There we go.
Not getting any audio.
You can't hear? Okay, hang on.
Segment design and site control, segment construction, and greenway operations and maintenance. 2004, the River Ring Master Plan established the vision for a regional network with over 600 miles of greenway. In 2006, the Centennial Greenway Master Plan was completed, defining a 17-mile greenway that will stretch from Forest Park to St. Charles County. In 2018, you helped plan the location of the greenway through the development of a planning study, also referred to as an alignment study. The 2018 planning study was all about finding the best route for the Centennial Greenway through Olivet, from its current endpoint at Olive Boulevard and Interstate 170 to Worson Park. The planning process was driven by community engagement, through public meetings and surveys, and with the help of a community advisory committee made up of Olivet residents and business people. Together, we agreed to a shared set of goals, which will guide decision-making throughout the project. Those goals are to connect people and places, to foster community and economic development, to optimize safety for users and neighbors, and to promote environmental stewardship. Each goal is associated with a set of specific objectives that support the Greenway's success. Next, we studied a number of potential routes, both east and west of Dealman Road. After looking at how well each one met the project goals, a clear preferred route was identified. The preferred route goes along Olive Boulevard to CVS, where it turns to follow the former Union Pacific Railroad, meeting up with the River Fair and passing through Indian Meadows Park on its way to Worson Park. The planning study also identified a potential alternate route along Dealman Industrial Drive, which may replace the railroad segment. These route alternatives allow the flexibility to complete the project in 2 phases if needed. After completion of the planning study, the project moved into the segment design and site control phase. You can learn more about this phase of the project and our current progress by visiting us on our website. Thank you for watching.
Okay, and then the where we are in the current stage, which is the preliminary design update, we have another one.
Welcome, and thanks for watching. We are pleased to share an update on the progress of this exciting project. Building a greenway typically includes these project phases: segment design and site control, segment construction, and greenway operations. The Centennial Greenway project in Olivet.
Are there people having trouble hearing?
Yes. Can't
I'm
hear
so
it.
sorry. That's as high as I can get it. The words that are being spoken are pretty much along the bottom of the screen. That really is a closed captioning.
Centennial Greenway will be extended through Olivet from Interstate 1 Boulevard. Cross Olive Boulevard. the existing plaza at CVS, the Greenway will extend northward. Past the city's public works and connecting to the former Union Pacific Railroad. Here's how the pedestrian plaza at CVS looks today. On this gateway, as the Greenway continues northward along the former Union Pacific Railroad, the Greenway will access the Jersey Park to the north. As the Greenway departs from the railroad, found the residents we are unable to acquire the railroad properties. It may be necessary to take an alternate route to this site. Possible alternative would follow Gilman Industrial Drive, with the trail segment currently being built by the city of Willamette. West of Gilman, the Greenway follows along William Boulevard, bringing visitors into Indian Meadows, where it will replace the portion of the existing parkway.
I think it might be paused. Sorry, that was my fault. I had told Beverly I thought maybe by muting it, it would help with it would be easier actually, but it ended up pausing it. Apologize. You're muted, Beverly.
I think she's lost connectivity.
Yeah, I'm thinking she must be
How about
frozen
now?
or something.
There,
You know
okay.
what?
Oh.
Was I muted the whole time?
No.
Okay. Yeah, when I started messing around, I apologize. I was messing around trying to fix the sound. And so what I think I'll do, how about I send the email, an email to everyone with a link directly to these videos so you can watch them? Because I'm not sure where you lost it.
Good idea.
If I could try to play the one.
I think the problem is the sound is coming through my microphone and not playing through Prezi. So I'm hearing it because I'm hearing it on my speakers from my laptop, and I think that's why you're not getting it.
We are in the segment design.
Oops.
Hold on, let me.
Okay.
I can share my screen, and I think it should be
Okay. Okay,
Um,
I'll stop sharing.
Let me just get here real quick and Zoom. I'll share this. I'm trying to start where I think we left off. Move this out of the way.
May be necessary to take an alternate route in this segment. Possible alternatives would
I'm going to
follow
go back
Gilman
just
Industrial
a
Drive,
pinch.
meeting up with the trail segment currently being built by us. The Greenway will picking up at the existing pedestrian plaza at CVS. The Greenway will extend northward with a new mini trailhead providing access for Greenway users and continuing on past the city's public works and connecting to the former Union Pacific Railroad. Here's how the pedestrian plaza at CVS looks today and how this gateway will look in the future.
As the Greenway continues northward along the former Union Pacific Railroad, it will provide greenway access for those who work in Dealman Industrial Park. As the Greenway departs from the railroad, it joins up with the River des Peres before reaching the crossing at Dealman Road. If we are unable to acquire the railroad property, it may be necessary to take an alternate route in this segment. Possible alternatives would follow Dealman Industrial Drive, meeting up with the trail segment currently being built by the City of Olivet, leading along Dealman Road. West of Dealman, the Greenway follows along Napoleon Boulevard, bringing visitors into Indian Meadows Park, where it will replace a portion of the existing pathway. A new retaining wall will make room for the Greenway along Napoleon Boulevard. A new trail connection point at the west end of Indian Meadows Park will provide access to the Greenway from Huron Drive and from the existing playground and pavilion. Exiting Indian Meadows Park, the Greenway will continue westward toward Warson Park. Through this segment, the Greenway will follow a strip of city-owned land on the south bank of the River des Peres. This cross-section view shows the relationship between the Greenway and neighboring residential properties. Improvements in this area are expected to include stream bank stabilization and restoration, as well as landscape screening for neighboring properties. Entering Warson Park, the Greenway will replace an existing path along the north side of the athletic fields and connect to the future community center, setting the stage for a future connection to 39 North across Warson Road. Let's zoom out for a final overall look at the preliminary design. We have described the Centennial Greenway as extending from Olive and Interstate 170 to Warson Park. However, it may be necessary to build the Greenway in two phases. In this case, Dealman Road would generally serve as the dividing line between Phase 1 and Phase 2. Our next steps will be the intermediate and final design stages. During these stages, we'll be working out the details and adding the features that make for a great Greenway experience. For example, we'll be determining trail widths, designing areas for amenities, locating signage, selecting fencing and site furnishings, designing new landscape plantings while protecting existing trees, and addressing drainage challenges, which may include engineering walls and other structures, like bridges and boardwalks. What would make your Centennial Greenway experience great? Please tell us by responding to the survey via the link in the video description. Thank you for watching. See you on the Greenway.
Look great.
Great. Does anybody have any questions about what they saw or?
How will it get under the highway? Will it be pretty safe, or will they build a separate walkway or something? Can you hear me? No?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I had the same question.
Sorry. There, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I'm trying to get my Zoom back. I've lost I lost my controls. I apologize.
What they're going to do under Olive is they'll have pedestrian lights at that section. They'll also have a when you're under the overpass, it'll actually be wider under there, and there'll be some type of border to give people more of a sense of space, you know, and protection from vehicles. and then the, when it crosses, so it's going to be on that, so where the Centennial Trail now stops, kind of in U City, it'll cross those two different sections of road exits. The exit that's the northbound coming off, it will then cross the exit for the cars leaving Olive to go southbound. It will end up there with the crossing then at Olive will be actually at Hilltop and be part of the new signal and new traffic that's happening there in relationship to the Olive Crossing development. So that will actually be signalized, and again, it'll be a wider crosswalk, and we're looking at different painting there. So it will be. So it'll be safer. It'll be safer. It'll be, if you've been on Delmar at McKnight, that's always been the Centennial Trail actually crosses Delmar there. At that, and it's they've done a lot of improvements over the last year and a half on that, and so it's going to be more similar to that, where you're going to have the coloration difference in the pavement and those types of things.
What are they talking about in terms of timing?
Well, you saw that phase 1 and phase 2, and we're doing phase 2 actually. We're doing the Dealman to Warson first, and they will be. They're at 30% design, engineering design on that. They have applied for a transportation alternative program grant. It's actually the city's applied for it. And we're seeking about $1 million in funding from that grant. And that will take care of the Dealman to kind of the start of Warson Park. And then the Warson Park section is going to be built in collaboration with the constructions that's happening in Warson Park as part of the park improvements, and that'll be a separate agreement between the city and Great Rivers Greenway. So they're at 30%. They've just gave WSP with engineering firm notice to proceed on final design and engineering, and that will take probably at least a year to get the right of way, and there's some temporary construction easements that are needed. And so we're anticipating it will be done in 2022, that section. And sometimes they probably could move a little faster than that, but if they actually get that TAP grant, that's a relatively bureaucratic process that sometimes slows you down. But I think 2022 is a pretty realistic, and that coincides then with that's when our construction will be done as well. So that is aligning well. Then they will do. They're working on the purchase of the old railroad in will be that second phase of work. And they just were given notification by the railroad that they can actually proceed from talking to actually negotiating on pricing there. They have been, and Mayor Springer could talk more about how long the city and Great Rivers Greenway has been negotiating with the railroad, trying to get that abandoned lane or line there. So that's actually a huge thing. So I'm anticipating that section will probably be about a year behind.
Yeah, just so that you know, this is not the first go round we've ever done with the railroad. When I came onto the council, before the dinosaurs roamed the earth, the city had tried to acquire that right-of-way property from the railroad, and they were not having it. So the fact that they've been allowed to advance this conversation is huge. It's really huge. So fingers crossed that they'll have the weight behind them to be able to just take this project and make it complete. So that's my 2 cents.
Sure, sure. I have a schematic here of how it'll come around the new community center if you're interested in this. We have more detailed one for you to see as well. Ignore the ball fields on this. This is a very old iteration of the, this is from the original park master plan and then the concept plan. So it's the structures in here are out of date, but the pathway of the greenway is up to date. So this shows you where it, starting from Morrison here, how it'll enter into the property and come around that big open, if you're familiar with the Old Saints property, this is Worson Road. There, the old sign for the Old Saints is right here. We have a banner up there right now that says North Entrance to Worson Park. The pathway will come along through here. This is to separate pedestrians and bikes from cars entering. There's a little offshoot here that'll help people, and eventually it'll be able to, as we open up this area, you'll be able to get over across the river to Perrin into where the dog park area will be. And then it'll come around this hillside and come around the back side of the new community center. And this is to, again, keep cars away from pedestrians, runners, bikers. By coming around the back side of the community center, then you don't have to worry about them trying to cross all the different pieces of the parking lots and the driveways through here. So this is actually a really great solution to that. It'll also, they've also expressed interest in putting some of their graphic, they have those leaves and some of their coloring along the back side of this to kind of give a little more interest as people are coming through here. Because right now there's a retaining wall there, and then you'll have the blank wall, the back of the gym there. So that's nice that they're interested in that. We don't know what it'll really look like. This is that big, tall lone tree that we're really trying to preserve on that, like little knoll there, that little grassy knoll. They'll come around here, and then there'll be another kind of landing pad here, trailhead for people that park over here and want to come and get on the greenway from here. And then this is coming up here is where our existing pathway is, so it'll connect into that as well. So Barb, do you want to talk about what that agreement means with the construction and how that all works? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, darn it. Yeah, essentially, I think, like I said, we'll have an agreement with Great Rivers Greenway where, you know, the work that's being done within this park plan will be paid for by Great Rivers Greenway as part of the project, the Centennial Greenway project. But we've been coordinating. We had our first kickoff meeting last week in which we kind of already identified, you know, there's no reason to have 2 surveys. There's no reason to have 2 geotechnical reports done. And so we are, you know, so we're coordinating on those types of things. And so, and then once the engineering is done, we'll be bidding it out as part of our construction as well. So it'll really just be, you know, it'll appear more seamless. And then for the other portion, because we will be the grant applicant, because we're the grant applicant, if we get that grant, then we will also be managing that project, but with close coordination with Great Rivers Greenway. And again, where the monies will come, flow through the city, but the match or the remaining portion of the dollars will be needed will be coming from Great Rivers Greenway. And just so you know, the project isn't contingent on receipt of that grant. It would be helpful if we got the grant because it's $1 million, which would be nice. But they do have the fund. They've identified the funds for this section of the Greenway.
They've been doing oh, Ed, did you have a question?
Yeah, two quick questions, if you don't mind. The first one might be a little detail oriented. So they talk about stream bank stabilization over there on the River to Pear side as it goes through Indian Meadows. So there's the concrete part and then there's the natural part. Are they talking about, or is there any possibility of taking out some of the concrete and restoring it to natural, or is it pretty much going to stay the way it is, except when you get to the part where it's no longer a concrete gutter? Right. And then what happens with that fence that's there? Does something happen with that?
Yeah, that's a nice segue into the next section. So the stream bank stabilization that they're doing is only where the trail actually is in the on the stream bank. So as the pathway Greenway comes through Indian Meadows Park, it's going to replace our existing path for part of it, and that is on our side of the fence, and the River to Pear is still really far away. Where it comes into the proximity and where you really see that stream bank stabilization is as it leaves the main part of the park and it goes on the city strip that's behind those homes on Huron. That's where they really come into the stream bank. And unfortunately, that's where that concrete ends. So the work they're going to be doing is in the area that still has the original stream bank or what's left of it. So the concrete portion actually ends right there by the pavilion. So yeah, so that's the work they're doing.
And one more quick thing. Yes. So I know they mentioned that they're going to look at the trail and look for places for amenities and whatnot. You know, one area that I think we need to get on the map is the wooden bridge that gets us into the industrial court. You know, right? You know where the dog walkers come from. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's not practical to have a bridge, a pedestrian bridge, further down. I understand. And that's kind of the point, but it's not bicycle friendly because of the steps. Are they looking at making that a entryway that is suitable for bikes? That would be a perfect way to connect those businesses of Olivet into the park as well.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will put that on my list to talk to them about. And also the survey that they have for residents, you can take that and you can emphasize that that's something you'd like. I'm not sure if there's a free flow comment in there or not. I can't remember. I took it so long ago. But you can also reach out to the project manager. I can introduce you and you can talk about that because I think Angelica is her name, Angelica Gutierrez. I think she'd be very interested in hearing your comments on that because they've looked at other areas they're very interested in how things flow into this greenway and how people get access. And having access for the industrial parks is really important because they do view this as a commuter method for people at these businesses. So I'm just going to make a note about that because that is the that industrial park there. You're right. It has a lot of traffic. Okay. And the other thing you asked about was the fencing. So, and that's a nice segue into our resident outreach. So one of the reasons we love working with Great Rivers Greenway is because they're such a great organization and they do things really well. And their resident outreach is excellent. And they have a wonderful personnel that do it. The main person we're working with is Shaughnessy Daniels. But they also have this amazing structure that they use and how they plan it. So I wanted to make sure that you all got to hear a little bit of what they're doing. So they, one of the things they're doing is they are going to replace the fences all along there at their cost of all those residents that their homes back onto the greenway along that stretch of Huron. And they are going to be putting in it's actually a pretty pricey, beautiful aluminum fence. And they're working with those residents. The residents are given 4 options. They can choose to have just the fence in their backyard. Or they can choose 3 different levels of landscaping that would be on their side of the fence that the greenway will install for them. And then the fifth thing that's being added through the, as the Greenway hears more and more from the residents, some of them will be able to actually have another option to that fence that's actually a little bit more of a privacy barrier, particularly people that are the closest to it. So it's been wonderful how they're doing that. So I'll kind of give you a little bit of an outreach detail of how this goes. So they identified their key audiences and stakeholders, primarily City of Olivet, and then the targeted impact residents are right up there with the city. So there are 22 homes on Huron that they're doing one-on-one meetings with them, and when they meet with them, they have the project manager, they have someone from their office to kind of explain the process. They have representatives from the city, and typically that's been Missy and Barb have been out there, and then when Barb can't be there, sometimes I'm there. They've also had their person that they contract with for residential transactions, because the homeowners that are along there that will need to have a construction easement, they're actually given a stipend to cover the cost of that. So they, you know, just for the trouble of them having that, they're given a financial incentive there. There are also 10 homes along Napoleon who have a much lower impact, but still have an impact because it's going to be across the street from them. But one thing that those residents we know along Napoleon have not liked, the condition of that retaining wall. And so this project, as it pushes the retaining wall back, is actually going to rebuild it, and it'll be a much nicer retaining wall than what they're now. So residents actually are very excited about that because they're tired of looking at that old wall. They're also working along Kiowa, because even though the homes on Kiowa are much further back from the Greenway, they're also doing outreach and meeting with them. They've also been keeping Indian Meadows Neighborhood Association up to date. They wanted to have a series of in-person meetings and have their nice community meetings. They have not been able to do that because of COVID, and that's why they did those videos. And originally we were going to show those videos at the drive-in movie as a kickoff, but they had not completed those one-on-one residential meetings with the homeowners along Huron. So we pulled it back because they certainly didn't want those residents to see all that before they'd actually met with them one-on-one and they could hear the concerns of those homeowners. Then they're also doing a lot of outreach to the business community as you talk about getting the industrial park access in there, because the businesses that are along Price and that are in the Dealman Industrial and then the industrial park behind the Borson Park, those are all key users as well, stakeholders, because so many people do commute on the other greenways. So they're very interested in making sure that they meet their needs as well. And then pushing out information to the community at large. They meet with Kiana, our communications manager, frequently. They're going to be putting a lot more publications out. Angelica, the project manager, gave a presentation at Coffee with the Mayor, the Zoom with the Mayor. So they're using all of these tools that are listed below to really do a really nice outreach and engagement for these homeowners and residents. Have any of you received, I don't think any of you have received the direct mail because all of you live a little further away, right? Okay.
A question on, as we're beginning to do work through the bond issue, are we dovetailing on their work around Indian Meadows Park in terms of working with the residents? Because I know there's some concern about adjacent residences there.
Yes, there are. So the homeowners that are on the backside of Indian Meadows Park, they are actually meeting with them as well. Not as intense as the neighbors that actually are going to share a fence with it, but there are homeowners along there that have there's a lot of drainage problems for the people that live along there, because that is that's actually where the river used to flow. So many of the homes in there have incredible amounts of water on the property, either coming from the road, maybe just from the water table. It is really a problem. So there's a couple homeowners there that are really excited about this, because the current path there has drains under it for water to kind of move from one side of the lawn area over to the river to Pear. but they really aren't they aren't adequate. So the new design that Great Rivers Greenway is putting in is going to take out that asphalt path. And as they put in the new path, it's going to have a much improved drainage system to really allow that water to flow through there. And then they're going to be putting a lot of plantings in there that help absorb the water as well. So the trees that are along there are not, most of them aren't suited to grow there. That's one of the reasons a lot of our trees die through there, because they're just getting too much water. So it'll be a much better landscaping, more suitable to that wet environment, and it'll also help ease some of the drainage issues for the homes in there. So there's a lot of positives happening with the Greenway.
Well, I guess what I was trying to establish was, as we're doing work in there as part of the refurbishment of Indian Meadows Park, are we working in coordination on that work through the master plan?
We are. We absolutely are. And through just a fluke of, we don't even know how, our landscape architect is DTLS. They were selected by KAI, who is our architect. They're the ones that bid on the project. And when they bid on the project, they brought in DTLS as their partner agency for the landscaping aspects. Well, DTLS is the landscaper for Great Rivers Greenway on. So we couldn't have planned it better. It has been, we are so lucky. We are so lucky, so that they absolutely are looking at both halves of the project at the same time, which is, if that weren't the situation, we would really have to be monitoring that, and it could be tricky, but this is wonderful. And I don't know how we got that lucky. The final thing is the survey here. I will send out to you all. I hope you all take it. There is a direct link on our website to it, but it talks about trail amenities and what you'll use the park for. I mean, the Greenway for, and what your aspirations are. It also asks about what your concerns are. So it's a really good survey, and I encourage all of you to take it if you haven't taken it yet. And I think I sent it out in one of my updates, but I'll send it again. Hey, if we don't have any final questions on that, then Rob, I recommend we move into the Parks Master Plan.
Okay, item 7. Beverly, is that?
Yep.
That you?
Yep. So in case you didn't know, we are implementing our Park Master Plan through Prop C. And at our last meeting, I shared with you a preliminary timeline. We have a much more detailed timeline now for you. We also has a frightening schematic construction timeline that I will not share with you because it makes everybody anxious when they see it. But this is where we are right now. We are in schematic design. And as part of that schematic design, we've done a lot of refinements already to the conceptual design of the community center that I'll share with you as we come along. But as we move through that, as you look at these stages, it gives me a little anxiety because pretty soon, it seems like December 2022 is a long way away, but once you start looking at this, it's around the corner. We are moving fast. We're going to have construction documents in February. So that is incredible. That's very fast. So you will start seeing a lot more details. And when we get into our scheduling, if you guys had a chance to look at the calendar ahead of time, you'll understand what we're going to be doing in there. I know it's kind of nebulous right now, but do you have any questions about this timeline as we're looking at it? I do want to note that the top part is for the construction of the community center, and then concurrently below are the park concept designs and then the park redevelopment. And you'll notice that slightly offset a little bit with the community center construction completing in November 2022, and then the actual parks completing around December 2022. And a lot of that is because the park construction is seasonal. It really, with the timing to actually put in new trees and new perennials and plants is really important. You have to follow the weather and make sure we're planting in the correct season for them to thrive and establish strong roots. So you'll see a little bit of a difference in there.
What will be the role of the commission in this project?
The commission's going to be, along the way, you will be looking at each stage of design, and you'll be asked questions for you to either look at for recommendations or for policy. We have, as we get into a couple other slides here, I have an incredibly intense policy decision-making list of things we have to accomplish, which is why your annual plan is not on this agenda. It'll be next month's agenda, because there are a series of policies that have to be taken through the Parks and Rec Commission and on to the City Council. And I'll show you a big list of that so you can all feel the anxiety. So to answer your question, Jim, a lot. You're going to be doing a lot.
Will we get copies of these will we get copies of those documents?
Yes. Yeah. You'll get copies. Yeah. The construction design, the timeline I'll email to all of you. The design you'll see today, I can't send to you, but you'll, I guess I can. Actually, I can send you that. But it just with the caveat that it's in process. There will be more changes.
It's going to change a lot.
Yeah. Hi, Don. Don has to listen over the phone. My timeline disappeared that I had for you here. Where did that go? Do you see it? I can't see it. That's empty. So Barb, do you want to just talk a little bit about the bond sales? You're muted.
Yeah, I was going to do it muted because that would be more exciting. We're in the process. We had getting ready for our bond sale that will actually occur September 8th. We work with a financial consultant, Joy Howard, along with a team of attorneys with Gilmore and Bell, who help us get ready for this. We had our call with Moody, who we utilized to do our bond rating. We are currently a AA2, and after the bond rating call, we'll continue to be a AA2, which we're actually very happy about, because during this financial, we weren't sure how during this financial time crisis how it could go, and a lot of we were told by Joy that a lot of cities are being downgraded. So staying the same felt like improving. And so the council will have a first reading of a resolution authorizing the sale of the bonds, as well as an ordinance that actually is the sale. On the morning of the 8th, we'll have the sale of bonds. All this is done electronically. And then on the September 8th council meeting, the council will approve the sale. So then we'll be ready to go with, we'll probably have the funding within 3 months, 2 months or so. And so that is good. Now, no, the mayor's been, again, she was involved in our last bond sale. She's been, involved in this one. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add, Mayor.
No, it's always a very exciting process to go through the bond sale, and I'm very much looking forward to it again. To me, that means the money is real, and that's always really good. I mean, we talk about this, but once we sell those bonds, the money is real. We have the money, and it's good. It's really good. So yeah, really looking forward to September 8th.
Great. Okay, so schematic design update. So what you all remember seeing for the bond measures, we had a conceptual plan, and it had a very specific square footage to the building, and it had all of the program elements that had been vetted through the Parks and Rec Commission and the City Council. We still have that. We still have the exact same square footage, and we have the exact same programs happening. But as we started the schematic design process, and hello? Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. Hi, Cletus. Everybody say hi. Cletus is here. So as we started really grappling with the schematic design and started looking at adjacencies, it required some modifications to that layout we had. So I'm going to take you through that, but I wanted to make sure that you aren't, I don't want you to be surprised. It's the same square footage, it's the same programs, but it's going to look slightly different. So I have a list of things to show you, but first I'm just going to take you in there because that's the easiest thing is for you to get in there and to, let me get to the present view so I can actually zoom in a little better. Okay, so let's get into the schematic design. This is a really big document, and I had to make a small PDF version of it, so I'm hoping that it's going to be clear enough for you to see, but if necessary, I can open up the really big document that I couldn't get into the Prezi. But this is the new layout for the community center. So what you're seeing here is the gymnasium is in the same spot, and the entrance still comes in from the east side, but we have a lot of things that flipped. So from an operational standpoint and from a supervision of the building and to make sure that we can run with a lean staff and not require additional hirings, some of the adjacencies were shifted. So for example, the multi-purpose room was moved from the parking lot side on the north side to the back side of the building. This gives the people in the multi-purpose room a much more pleasant environment. They'll be able to look out into the park instead of out onto the parking lot. It will still provide, it also provides backside access, back of the house access for caterers coming in, for people that are moving in equipment, or if you're coming in for a special event. So now they'll be able to come in through the back and have an access straight into the kitchen and not have to bring all of that gear through the front door of the community center, which really is not optimal from an operations standpoint. It also allows all the trash to come out the back door and around the back side, which is another really important thing. Then one of the other major shifts is the playground went from the back of the building to the front of the building. And this allows it to be very close to the check-in desk. And you'll notice it's now projecting out. So what this is doing is it's building that excitement. It's going to give people an opportunity to see into it because it'll have these really nice windows. So as it projects out, as people drive in from here, they'll come around the corner, and that's one of the first things that's going to catch their eyes, this big indoor playground. And you'll see we have a placeholder inside climbing structure. What we're looking at right now, we don't have any vendors identified. We have our budget consideration to think about, but what we're looking at is something similar to a Lucky Climber, which is the architectural climber that, if you're familiar, at the Magic House, it would be something similar to that. We're not looking at something like a McDonald's Playland or something you can get in our park. We want something to be a much more unique experience. We're also going to have a lot of open area in there, so we can have something like the Imagination Playground, where we have those big blue, actually have a sample here if you've taken kids or grandkids to play. There are these big pieces that fit together like Tinker Toys or Legos, and it's a big construction. So there'll be directed play, non-directed play, and then we'll have programs in there like story time and things like that. This also allows the staff offices to be front and center as you come in with a service counter. And by we lost that elegant kind of crocodile mouth, but what it did allow is to have a much larger lobby. So the lobby it allowed us to have a larger lobby and openings for our social and community-based feeling of this. The gym has changed its shape, but it's still the same square footage, but it's changed a little bit. It's been great having Don come on board because he has such a strong athletic background in managing fitness and gym centers back from his time in the YMCA and at Kirkwood. So his input on this design has been come in right at the right time. The other thing that we've changed is the shape of the fitness area. So the fitness area is still the same square footage, but now it's a rectangle. And what that does is it allows us to place the actual fitness equipment and the cardio machines and everything in a much more usable manner so that it's not all crowded up in a square. It gives up that linear feel. So we'll be able to have zones with the free weights in one area, cardio kind of strung out along with a nice window view, and then still have that area for the CrossFit type activities as well. We've kept the yoga studio, yoga dance combo studio now is right adjacent to the gym, and there's a service desk right here. What you can't see, if I can zoom in, the red squares are notes from our latest meeting. So this is hot off the presses. We have construction meetings every week, and every week there are tweaks to it. So the tweaks we made to it yesterday are on here for you to see. They haven't been implemented. So we're talking about looking at this entrance to the gym, moving over here so that this service desk can cover the access points for all three of these, and that sometimes you won't be able to access the gym from this if we're doing a program where it requires you to have your pass. So they call about that paywall, but we don't want a turnstile. We want it to feel very warm and welcoming because anybody can come into this lobby. We don't want them to have to feel that pressure to pay or show it over here. So we're keeping this desk down here. The other thing we're considering is ways to put in a counter here, perhaps with maybe high and low chairs for parents that are sitting and watching their kids play. They can charge their phone, they could do some work, or anybody that's waiting for something else. The other thing that is really exciting is the council has asked, how can we get the fireplace back in? I swear I did not pay a kickback to Mayor Ruth Springer, but this was her suggestion, and we now have a fireplace area. So really, fingers crossed that when we finally get to budgeting and really looking at the money, that stays in there. And it may still come out, but for right now, we have it. We also have a nook here for esports to be played that isn't a big tournament. If kids coming in after school, they want to be able to play, they can sit there. Or during the day, someone could sit there and do computer work or read the paper or whatever they like. Or who knows, they could be 40 years old and they really want to play Fortnite, whatever. And then we're still working around the staff offices in here and what that looks like. This is the footprint is the same, but we're still tweaking that a little bit. We have the lactation room here, mother's room. Then we have the restrooms here that will service anybody coming into the multipurpose room. The multipurpose room right now in this iteration actually can seat about 150 people. You'll notice that it still has the zones, so it can be used for a big event, or it can be partitioned for our classes when we have lifelong learning classes or a language class or an OASIS class. They can come in here and use that. And then this is the full teaching kitchen with the, with the storage. This is a counter here. These tables are movable, so they'll move around. I'm giving you a lot of, even though we're in schematic design, we've really been talking a lot about these details because that really influences how it'll lay out. But it will allow the caterers to have a nice double door to go in and out of this room if it's an event. Or if someone is teaching in here and afterwards, if they want to sit out here and have the meal of whatever the class was, they have the potential for that if something else isn't going on, or they can eat here as well. Now, one of the big things that we looked at between the conceptual design and now is our changing rooms. So I know some of you are aware, we've talked about a little bit about the changes that are happening in operations of fitness centers. One of the biggest changes that's happened is majority of people now go to the gym wearing the clothes they're going to work out in and then go home and shower. So new fitness centers that are being built have a much smaller footprint of showers and changing rooms than they have in the past. The other major change that's happened is many more people that are going to fitness programs or dance programs or whatever are bringing their kids and having to dress their kids, or they're bringing their parents and having to assist with dressing their parents. So we have talked about family changing rooms. So what we have here now is a way to take it to the next level as we look at our long-range plans. So this building we are planning for the next 50 years. We will not build another community center for 50 years. So what we're doing is really looking at what are the design trends that have been building across the US and that are going out into the future. And what happens now is the focus is on individual changing experiences and individual showers, not having a men's room and a women's room for the locker room. So what we have here is what's called a changing room. So here in the lobby, as you come along, you've got your trash and recycling receptacles. You come in here, there are sinks to wash your hands. And then, I apologize, this is kind of grainy as we zoom in. Down the center are lockers that are people can use temporarily. They're not permanent lockers. They're if you just want to store something, there's lockers. But each one of these changing areas here is its own unique restroom. So as you go in, there's a bench to put your bag on. There's hooks to hang your clothes. Your toilet and your wash basin are in there. And that is unisex. So anyone can use it. And this one, you'll notice this one is larger. So that's a family changing. If you need to change a parent for their silver sneakers class, you can help them. Or if you've got to get your child changed, you can absolutely do that. And then we have two that have shower stalls. And then we have two that have, now I can't remember if, I apologize, because it's so grainy, I can't tell you if this is a shower as well. I think these are also showers too. So each one of these units, anyone can go and use at any time. And there are no doors here. So anyone can just walk in, use a changing area, and come out. So that is a departure from what's traditionally been done. But this is what you're seeing in new health clubs that are being built on the coasts. And it's coming into the Missouri marketplace very soon. So this is when we talk about innovation, and we talk about making sure that what we're doing is sustainable and forward thinking. Right here is, we're right front and center right here with this changing area. So I'm sure you guys are gonna have questions as we go along. So please, let me know anything I can zoom in on or give you more information about.
I have a question, Beth.
Yes.
Does that service the restroom need for the entire center?
Well, we have another section of restrooms over here. So these are open to the public as well. And this is a traditional men's and women's room. But we'll also, the signs here are also going to be flexible so that if we have an event in here that is, say, university women, 150 university women are coming to meet here, then this will be a women's room as well. So the signs are going to be flippable so that during certain events, they'll both be men's room or both be women's room. That's similar to what they do down at the convention center, and some of the hotels downtown are already doing this.
I know that you mentioned that the universal changing rooms is what's happening on the coast. I just don't see that as being acceptable here. We're not there yet. I I just can't see that people bringing their kids would be comfortable with men and women interchanging, coming in and out of the same areas without there being any type of designation, especially with there being showers and, it's just there's no doors, so anybody can walk in and out of there. I just don't know how the comfort level of people, changing in and out of that area. I don't know that in the Midwest we're there yet. Because I even at the new health centers that are being built, I don't know that that's even what they've done at the I can't think of the name of it, the new one in Frontenac,
Like fitness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've been to the one in the one out on Clarkson, and it's not made that way.
No.
Aren't those are those not doors in each individual changing area though?
They are. They're solid doors. It won't be like a gap where you can see in. It'll actually be a nice solid door. There won't.
Okay, it's just hard to see that there was anything there. Okay, so
there's a door here. Yeah. Okay. I apologize on the view of this, but it's
sure, that's fine.
Went in, yeah.
I mean, it would be different even if one side was male and one side was female, but just to say, pick a door. I just don't know if even with some of our seniors that are coming in for changing for classes would be comfortable with that.
I've experienced this kind of thing at the center of Clayton, where although they do have the men and the women's locker rooms, it seems that the family ones, which are in the middle, are very similar to this.
Our plan was to have each one of these really be a family changing room. I mean, that's basically what it is. They're large enough for that. The super large ones actually will accommodate a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So to Keisha's point, in your opinion, since this is newer to our area, I mean, is there some education around this? Is this something that over time people will come to accept, or I wonder how it plays in our area. To Keisha's point.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any public facility, but meaning owned by a city that has this, because there hasn't really been, other than Maryland Heights, there aren't any brand new ones around. But I do know that every conference we've gone to and every trade publication we're reading is that they're showing this, because what it does is it frees up a lot of space. So having a dedicated men's room and dedicated women's room, we will have to shrink back a lot of the things that we made a little bit bigger. So we'll lose lobby space, we'll lose some of our storage space. So it's a way for us to gain a lot more flexibility in the center as a whole.
Well, I think one of the other sides is that this deals with some of the transgender issues that are coming up as well.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. That this some agencies have gone to this because of that, and that is over here. What we've tried to do was not even include urinals, so that when other people are in here, they'd just be all stalls with a toilet. However, we're running up against, again, that Missouri rule that says that you have to have a urinal. So what they did at the city centers, they actually put the urinal in a stall. So that's probably what we'll do here.
Bev, I don't know if this is a good idea, but is there a way where you could designate one side or a space to family, kind of more family locker rooms or family rooms? So to Keisha's point, it's not, me taking my girls into kind of a room right next to a single, whatever, young guy. It's not, it's just, I think there's just is there a way that you could designate maybe more of a family space?
Well, our intent was the whole thing is a family space, so any one of these could be used by families. But what I guess what we maybe should do is some architect, but Barb, I don't know how we do that. Sorry.
We can take these concerns back to the architect.
Okay.
And discuss them through, back to the project manager and the architect. Is there a consensus of that as a concern?
It's a concern for me.
Okay.
I personally don't have a concern about it. However, maybe if we could get some examples of places that have gone with this model.
Okay.
And see, because I mean, clearly I think this is probably something in the future, but it's a matter of comfort level that people have as well.
Yeah, and I think acceptance of that. I think for me personally, I don't have a large concern, but I could see where there would be maybe just an awkwardness or discomfort in using it, especially if I had like all my girls with me. If it's just me, I kind of don't care. So it's hard to say how broad of a concern this would be.
Okay, Mary Kay? Or Ed?
Mary Kay is frozen. Is Mary Kay frozen?
I was going to say that it's not as big of a concern for me because I'm also thinking, I have daughters, and it's very difficult for, when my kids were younger, for a man to have his daughters with him. In some ways, it feels like dressing rooms at a store. Women and men are in the dressing room sometimes, but obviously they're in their own rooms and they have their own doors. I feel like if you can close it up, I don't see the problem too much because no one's getting undressed at the lockers, correct?
Correct.
So if there's no benches there, or if there's no expectation that people are going to disrobe at the lockers and then enter, it seems to me that it's as private as going to, the department store and going into a dressing room. But I just like the idea of the family and, being a father and being able to take my daughters, or a mother being able to take their sons and not necessarily have to worry about those kinds of things either.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
Yeah, I agree.
Mary Kay?
Yeah, I was thinking, when I had my 4 boys and the Y had the family bathroom that was totally enclosed, it was so much easier than trying to get them through the women's locker room and, or something worked out. So, yeah, I think that especially if it's ceiling to wall and enclosed, I think it's better than a locker room, safer.
Okay, Rob? Oh, Rob, you went away. I was just trying to get a consensus to see, get all the thoughts. Because I know this is somewhat awkward to talk about too. I think anytime you use the word urinal, it becomes awkward. So
Well, this is what they're doing in many, many public places. Airports, airline lounges, they're all going to this, where it's an enclosed room where you can close the door and any combination of people can go in for safety. So I think it's becoming more standard than you think it is.
I think what strikes me about this is that the workout area and the gymnasium area are proportionately much larger than the locker room area, or by an order of magnitude. And I'm just wondering if the space was maybe a little bit larger, could accommodate a little bit more capacity, that maybe this might be a little more better, for lack of a better word.
Are you concerned about the number of toilets per the number of people in the building?
Number of toilets, just the airiness of it. I mean, gosh, ventilation is talked about now, lighting is talked about now, social distancing is talked about now. and those types issues are, none of that is going to go away anytime soon. And this feels very much very confined. Based upon drawing, it looks much more confined than the workout area versus in the gymnasium area, etc. And I understand that this is going to be very walled off, sealed off, very private, personal, but maybe just a little more space in there.
Hey, Rob, that point, I think what we were thinking, there's a standard that's required. Part of what we were thinking too, and I'd be interested in hearing what you folks have to say on this, is that more and more now people don't use the locker rooms. They come, they come dressed and they leave sweaty or something, with the exception of maybe some of the pre-work folk. And that's just again, that's kind of what we're told. I know I personally, usually, when I did belong to a gym, I usually didn't use the locker room, but that's deep. But I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or, and that's one of the reasons that impacts the size of it then is.
I mean, I know I'm looking forward to running down the hill at 6 a.m. and coming to use this thing in a couple of years. I mean, it's, so I'm one of those people that fall into that category, but for the people who would we want the entire community to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they need, and not at the same time. That's right. It'd be a great party though. I guess that's the initial impression that I got, was just the airiness of that space based upon what happens in that space. Yeah, I got to think about it some more.
Yeah, that's a good point. All these are valid points.
One of the things we did recently is we had 2 changing rooms back here as well. And we recently took them out and made one a custodial mop sink for easier access to cleaning the facilities, and then one for toilet paper and paper towels and things. We could potentially take out this storeroom to make everything a little bit bigger in there, but it still would not increase the depth, but it would potentially allow us to put another. We took out 4 lockers to get this. We took out 4 lockers because this is the vending machines are here because, and that's at my request, because the vending machines originally were out here, and I have a lot of personal pet peeves about vending machines. I think that they are, oftentimes it's the worst possible food that people should be putting in their bodies, but also it's such a horrible situation that we put parents in with their kids, and they're walking by, and it's such an allure for those kids, and they're so bright. We're creating this beautiful lobby, and I didn't want those vending machines right here while everybody's sitting and trying to do whatever they're trying to do. So the architect suggested putting them in here, which made that meant that we lost a couple lockers in here. But that is something that I'd also, I mean, maybe other people have different views about vending machines, and maybe I have too iconoclastic of an opinion about them. But yeah.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
In the schematic drawing of the locker area, are there only 2 showers in there?
There are, I believe, 4. But I'm having trouble seeing.
Right. I only see 2 squares with X's in them, and on floor plans, that's usually where the shower is.
Right, but I think these 2 are the ones for disabled, because the X is there, but I think that's the bench for someone with a wheelchair.
Okay. So the other 4 rooms then are just simply changing rooms, is that
They're
correct?
changing rooms with toilets and wash basins.
Okay, gotcha.
And then these are extra wash basins to just go by and wash your hands at any time. So that's kind of like the thing you're talking about, Rob, with kind of a nod to the pandemic of having ways you could come in and just wash your hands and easily come in and out and do that.
Right.
Really?
So, will you clarify how many showers are in the whole facility? Is it 4?
It's 4.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's enough, in my opinion. I don't know for sure though.
Beverly?
Yes?
Is it a requirement that we have vending machines?
No, no, we have them now. All centers tend to have them.
Right. Schools used to have them too. We service 650 and we don't have a vending machine in the entire building. I think, to lose space to something like that I understand, or if one is moved to the break room for the staff, that would be fine. My other question to you, Beverly, was how do you feel about the storage that they're giving you? Because that's always, when we went on the tours, that was the biggest thing, that where do you put the tables when you're changing events?
Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right on that.
How do you feel about what's been given right now?
Before we look at the storage, I just want to tell everybody, I'm writing down the comments that everybody's had, and I will take that back to the team. Okay, so storage, I have mixed feelings about it. So the storage for the multipurpose room, I am very excited about. What we have over here is we have a storage that runs the length of this multipurpose room and has doors into each section. So it will accommodate our tables and our chairs, but more importantly, if there's an event using 2 of these spaces, and then there's another group in here, you don't have to interrupt this group if you need to get additional chairs, because that's a big problem a lot of the time. It will make it very easy to get stuff, to get these tables and chairs in and out. So I'm very excited about this. I don't know if you remember, but in the old drawing, when the multipurpose room was on the front side of the building, there was a little appendage off the end in that beautiful prime real estate that was the storeroom for the multipurpose rooms. So I think this is a much more elegant design. It hides it back here. It doesn't interrupt that view. And then it also gives us that wonderful access to all of these. So I'm very excited about it. Other storage, we're working on it. So we've, one of the things we've done is downsize the mechanical closet and electrical and the data slightly to gain a storeroom here. But what you'll notice is there's no athletic storage here at all. And one of the things that we've been talking about is to build a tough shed for athletic storage is way cheaper than to add, which we can't do, 1,500 square feet or 400 square feet to this building, because our square footage for this building is set. We can't add to it. So we can only slice it and dice it to accommodate everything. So we're really grappling with that. So we do have this really big gym storage, which is fantastic, but all of the soccer balls and the bats and the helmets that we have for the youth sports programs, those probably could not go here. But do they need to go in the community center, or are they better stored in the new park storage building because you only access them 6 weeks out of 52 weeks? Maybe that's a better solution. So we're really looking at our operations to figure that out. But you're right, Ed, storage is, we already know ahead of time it's going to be a problem. One of the things we're looking at is a rack system potentially in this room that would come over here that has hand weights and different things on it that's on the wall. So you don't have to have them in bins and tubs and shelves. So there are some innovative storage solutions we're looking at as well, because we want to make sure that when we move in here, it doesn't already feel too small, because this is what we've got. We've got to make it work.
Yeah, I think just think sounds like it would be worth our time just to toss that area back to our designers and say, hey, give us another idea, and see what they come up with. So makes sense on the locker rooms, because it sounds like there was quite a bit of conversation amongst the commissioners in that regard. So, thank you, though. This is really neat. I'm wondering if also, I know that renderings are not an inexpensive investment, but is it worth looking at a rendering of what this building would look like from the outside?
Oh, we will absolutely be doing that. At your next meeting, you will absolutely see that. There are some preliminary ones right now, but we're still looking at surfaces and the cost, different finishes. So that's coming. Absolutely, you will see that.
It's a neat design and a great reutilization of the space, and some sort of fireplace, Olivet obelisk in the front lobby, I think is absolutely warranted. So that's cool. Yeah.
Okay, great. The next thing I want to show you is that surveying and drilling and core sampling has started in Worson Park in earnest. You've probably, if you go out there now, and I encourage you all to keep visiting the site, because you'll see something different all the time. This is out in the field. The surveyor stakes are out. They've been doing core samples. I actually got one today. I went out and they're laying on the ground. So I took a souvenir of this nice clay out there. And you're going to start seeing some more activity as we move into surveying the parks. But this one's getting done. And as Barb noted, it's surveying for both the Great Rivers Greenway and the community center. When we move into new policies that are required, I want to give you a sneak peek of what we're talking about there. So this is my spreadsheet I have right now. This is, we have many spreadsheets, but this one's the new building operations task list. So this is all the things that we have to accomplish between now and the new building opening. I have one of these for the parks. I have one of these also for each room in the community center. We're working around that. But this is just general operations. And there are several in here that are policy decisions that are absolutely going to come to the, I don't know why it's doing that, I apologize. That's going to come to the commission. I don't know why. This is, I'm in the SharePoint site, and I don't know why it's not letting me click where I want to click. Barb, do you see what it's doing? It's trying to take the roll up and move it. Okay, oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so some of the policies that are going to be coming, and I apologize, I can't zoom on this. Can you guys read this? See if I can get it a little bit bigger.
Yes, looks
good.
Great. So we have to address free users. We have a lot of legacy free users in this building and in our parks, and we need to address that. Maybe they are, maybe they're ready to be rolled over and keep going, or maybe it's time to analyze them and say, why do they have free use? What's the value add to the community? Does it meet our mission? So those types of questions, staff has to come up with a list of who these free users are, what they're doing, how much of a fee waiver it is. It needs to come to the Parks Commission, and then you need to either accept a staff recommendation or come up with your own recommendation, and then pass it on to the city council for them to address that. We also have to go back to our fees and say, do we need to have nonprofit fees? Is that something we should do? Or should we say nonprofit fee is resident fee? And if someone is a nonprofit, what are the criteria that will say, yes, a nonprofit can have this? We have to address these because this building's going to be a magnet. People are going to want to use it. And that's one of the first things that's going to happen there. We also are going to have to take a look at the fees. So we have to go back into our pro forma that was set up by the cost analysis. Staff will come up with a fee recommendation. We'll be doing cost comparisons with all the other centers around us that serve similar residents, socioeconomic groups. And then we're gonna have to, similar to what we did with the with our room rentals and our pavilion rentals, we're going to be bringing recommendations to the Parks Commission, and you're going to have to really help decide what's appropriate. Then we'll make a recommendation to council. Then we also are going to be grappling with which programs are free, which are going to have a charge, and which are included in the membership. One thing we don't have right now is a lot of team programming, but that's an area where we really have to have team programming, and we really anticipate coming into this center. So we're grappling with what do we do with teens? You know, before the pandemic, kids were playing basketball for free after school in the gym here. We'd like those types of programs to continue, but we need to have policies shaped around that. We're also going to be looking at contracts. Some of these will come to you. We're doing fitness equipment leasing. We're going to redo the RFP that we do for custodial, all these different things. We're also be looking at Wellbeats, which is an online class that people take as a group in a center. Looking at Silver Sneakers, we're probably going to need the commission's help with Silver Sneakers. There's a whole application process we have to go through. It's not a given that we'll get it. I know, like, for example, the city of Kirkwood was turned down more than once. Twice they've been turned down to have Silver Sneakers. So we'll probably need the commission's help with that. We are going to need your help with branding and a name. We have been doing some brainstorming on our own, but we need to come out. We need to have a name for this center. We can't be the OCC because City Hall is the OCC. So people get confused now, and I really don't want that confusion to continue into the new building. So we've started banding about some things, and we're bringing some of those to you. One good thing is we have a new address. We're going to be 1200 North Warson Road, which is fantastic. The old address of the Saints was 1158, so 1200's nice round number, so we've got that. And then whatever once we get that name and we start building the branding around that, building off the city's brand guidelines and our wayfinding, then we're going to have to do a comprehensive marketing and outreach strategy that's going to go over a whole year, and we're really going to need the commission's help with this. We're going to have ambassadors. We're going to have a solid campaign leading up to it, getting people excited. We're going to, one of the things that the council retreat that was identified that's really important is we're going to have construction signs out in all the parks, and ways for people to get updates on the project, what's happening. And then we're also going to need people to start giving tours ahead of time. And this is where the commission is going to be really important that you help with this. And then going out, speaking with local groups. Hopefully we won't be doing Zoom meetings in 2 years, but being able to, all of you, to speak with authority and answer questions for people and be ambassadors and outreach to schools and civic groups and clubs and businesses as we start to really build for the opening of this. So these are all ways that the commission is going to be very heavily involved. If you didn't feel the anxiety before, I hope you feel it now, because we deal with this every day. It is, it's a lot. It's exciting. It is very exciting, but it is, I'm thankful it takes 2 years for it to get built. Do you have any questions about any of these that we just covered here?
Is there a timeline for what comes first as far as the commission is concerned?
I think some of those policies will be ones that we start looking at. The fees, I think we need to wait a little bit longer until we have a better idea of what our operational costs are, because when we set the fees for this building, we base it off what does it cost to operate and what are we trying to recoup. So that'll be the same thing there. A name is going to be really important. That's going to be a priority. And then as we start to look at start to vet more of these designs that are coming through in some of the programs, will definitely be coming in there. As far as what goes first, I don't think we know yet, for sure.
So can you send the policies to us, and then we can kind of start wrapping our head around some of that? I'm a little bit of a policy wonk, so I can start thinking about that. And then in terms of the name, do you want us to just send you suggestions?
Well, what I'd like to do is at your meeting next month, go over your annual plan and start assigning these to working groups so that everyone gets an opportunity to work on what they really like. And if you like policy, I think that's a fantastic thing for you to be working on. Absolutely. Because we're going to take policies from other cities, and we're going to analyze them and take what works, and then also, build what's unique for all of that with that. So.
Right, but in terms of if we have ideas for names and things like that, do you want us to just shoot them to you? And
Sure. So what we're doing internally with the staff with the brainstorming is we're doing that classic, no idea is a bad idea. I'm putting them all on the list. So there's ones on there that I definitely don't want, but they're on the list. I'm not saying what the ones I don't like or whatever. But definitely, because it needs to be special and unique and kind of fit all of that.
Okay.
Then,
it would be helpful in this particular piece of the mission from a budget perspective. What buckets are we trying to fill with revenue, expense tracking, operating budget line items, et cetera? And Barb, I'm looking at your little part of the screen here to, when I say that, to help us understand what are the gaps we need to fill financially from a revenue perspective, and is it memberships, is it pay per attend, et cetera? From your perspective is where do we need to fill, what gaps do we need to fill for the operating expenses for the community center, and that how big those gaps are, and that helps us figure out how do we narrow in on those dollars and cents. Can you go back to that spreadsheet, Beverly?
What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you that we actually have a spreadsheet of where our money needs to come from. It's in our.
Okay, I'm looking at all the buckets that you want the commission to consider.
Right. So we actually have the pro forma that actually identifies by category what our revenue targets are for each goal, and it also shows current operating subsidy and what the projected subsidy is in the new center. So that's already out. So yeah, I'm going to get into. I'm just going to open up the Prop C Prezi.
That may be something just to send to us so that we can begin to look at it.
You're right. That would be better. Yeah, I'll send it to you. So any one of those Prop C presentations we gave had that breakdown in it. So I'll write that down to send that to you.
Okay. A couple of observations. One, it seems to me that we've got as a commission, we've got a lot of work, and people don't like to go to multiple meetings, but I'm wondering if we need to at least consider doing more than monthly meetings, at least on some of this, or having work sessions like the council has on specific topics.
Yes, so I've jumped over Veterans Park to take you to this item right here, which is your draft meeting schedule that was sent out. So on here, we're anticipating there will need to be extra meetings. And what the council does with their work sessions is they have them as needed, but they're always on the same day at the same time, so that if it's scheduled, you can anticipate it and know it. So my recommendation for all of you, if it works, is to say that additional special meetings would be on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock, because that's when your regular meeting is. And maybe right now you're the third Wednesday of the month, so maybe the first Wednesday of the month or other one. Because what happens is, as the construction timeline travels through, there are key points that things have to go to the city council. So that means if it's something the park commission is working on, it needs to get to you before it gets to that council meeting. So that pushes it back at least a week and a half, 2 weeks, so that it can get on the staff report for the council meeting. That's why I don't want to necessarily lock you into additional meetings now, but say that as they occur, is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock the time that those can happen.
And the other observation is I've noticed that you've created a lot of things around operations and new things with the facility. I think we just need to make sure we factor in maintenance.
Yes.
I saw custodial work, but there's more things because a lot of times everyone gets excited about a new building, but they don't think about what's going to be required to keep it up.
Yes, absolutely. That's part of the decision-making process as new things come in. And that was opening the new city center was a really good lesson for us because we learned a couple things over there that we're going to try not to duplicate in this building. Like, for example, making sure we know what the finishes are in the restrooms, which toilet paper dispensers are going in, which hand soap dispensers, so that we don't have to suddenly replace those in a short amount of time. So what I'd like to have as new equipment comes in is already know its replacement cycle so that we can have it on that timeline and know that, you know, if we are purchasing this floor machine to clean the floors, then we know that we need to plan 10 years out that we're gonna have to purchase it again. You know, what is the cycle of these things, and make sure that we have that in a spreadsheet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so are you comfortable with Wednesday nights, or is there another night that works better?
I'm fine with Wednesday.
Wednesday works.
Wednesday's fine.
Okay,
Just to footnote this, when I say I was talking to Barb about, if you could just clearly identify scope for each of these asks so that we kind of, the commission is representative of the kind of the voice of the people, and so in the context of this meeting, and so if you could help us kind of clearly define scope, the box within we're working in, and the problem we're solving for, I think that would be that would help commission members, you know, kind of get to the solution sooner, and that would be appreciated in that regard, and maybe would help us get to those solutions quicker. Just offering that up.
When I sent this out, oh, yep.
No, I was just going to also offer, I mean, Wednesday nights is fine, but is it possible that we could start earlier than 7, like possibly a 6 or 6:30 start? Because it seems like we always end up going to 9:30, and it makes it just for a really, really long night.
Yeah. If we do that, right.
Yeah, I mean, all of my other start at 6. So.
And I think with what Rob was asking as well is if we can figure out what the ask is, and maybe know some things before the meetings, that we can move through some of this stuff more quickly.
Yes,
too.
absolutely, absolutely. When I sent this out, did anyone? I did not. Normally, I'd look at the Shabbat calendar and I look at the school calendar, and I did not do this when I sent this out last Friday. These are just the third Wednesdays of the month. Did any of you see any conflicts with any school or religious observances on this?
No.
Okay. In that case, you can, if you're comfortable, then you can approve this tonight, and then I'll get it populated on the website.
What's the commission think?
Is there any objection to moving it up to 6 o'clock?
6 is a bit early. 6:30 I could go for. I sometimes don't come home until 5:30 or almost 6. So
6:30 would work better.
6:30 works.
6:30 is fine.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. I'm not going to object to an earlier start.
Yeah, 6 sounds good to me.
6 or 6:30?
Or 6:30, I mean.
Okay.
first is, Rob, if you want to ask for a motion.
Okay, sure. All right. So we want to, this is an ad hoc motion to reschedule our the commission's meeting schedule for 2021 with a 6:30 start time as presented by the commission this evening. I'll entertain a motion, I'll entertain a motion as presented. All those, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, so Keisha moved, Carla presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries as presented with a 6:30 start time with the following dates that are presented on the screen.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Very quickly, I have a video that has no sound for, but I'm just going to move through the slides very quickly so that you can see the final design. So the Veterans Fountain is redeveloped. It's being paid for by the Firestone Tire and Auto that's coming in there. It's just going to play in the background as I'm talking. The initial plan that Firestone presented as a redo of the area did not meet the new Olivet design guidelines and didn't include space for Olivet and Bloom. So the city hired the landscape architecture firm of Lamar Johnson, and they came up with a schematic design and solution for this area. And Olivet and Bloom vetted it and made suggestions, and they altered the design to accommodate the requests of Olivet and Bloom. So very soon, I'm going to pause it. Oops. Where did it go? I apologize.
Very nice.
So you can see here that it's going to retain a water feature. It will not have a pond. It'll be a cascade that is much easier to clean. It'll have shade trees. It'll have areas that have seating. It will have a change in the surfaces to kind of transition from where people are actively passing through versus where they're sitting and having some quiet contemplation, or perhaps maybe waiting for their car to get done. And then there are going to be large-scale planting areas along Dealman and along Olive that Olivet and Bloom will plan and install. And it will retain some of the flagstone elements and reuse some of the rocks. A lot of the plants will have to be removed because of the site work required. So Olivet and Bloom is working they will relocate those as they can. Some of them may come onto city property, some may go to just homes of the volunteers. And then the plantings that are going in are going to be, they're native driven. They give color and interest for all 4 seasons of the calendar. And it's a really nice collaboration, and I'm just thrilled that Firestone is going to pay for the implementation. And if I've missed anything in that, Barb, please let me know. And does anyone have any questions on this one?
No.
It looked amazingly good.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And the fact that there's no pond is great.
Yes, very good. Yes, I can't wait for that. Great. Okay, so Parks and Recreation Director report very quickly. I'm going to scroll through these as fast as I can. So we have this Friday, we have a pop-up event from DJ Reggie. It's a free hip hop workshop from 9:30 to 10 a.m. in the lower parking lot here at the community center. DJ Reggie called me late Friday afternoon and said, can I do this? And we said, yeah, let's do it. So we have a Facebook event out there for people to just kind of RSVP because it's free. He's going to have his music out there. He's been doing free online classes, and this is just his online classes with safe social distancing because everybody gets their own parking stall. So it's for anyone ages 14 and up. We are working on having a double screen drive-in movie on Friday, September 25th. We are still working on the logistics of this, and is it possible? Can we get to 2 screens, and are they large enough? Our last one we had was very good, but we need a bigger screen. We also, I would be most appreciative if we could have more volunteers from the Parks and Rec Commission. Jim came out and he was an incredible benefit to have him out there. And if other people could volunteer, I would greatly appreciate it, because we need people to help move the cars in, and then we need people to help move the cars out. We can't do it without lots of bodies. So if you could all please put this date on your calendar. As we get closer, as we know for sure we can do it, I would love to have your assistance. What we're trying to do is an event each month of the fall. So then in October, the community-wide garage sale. This is an event we can host, we believe, safely during the pandemic. Then on Saturday, November 4th, coming in after the garage sale, if things don't sell, people can come and get rid of them at the free e-waste day, the shred, and the prescription drug drop-off day. These dates are pushed out because we really looked closely at the High Holy Day schedule, and we didn't want anything to conflict in there. And then Boo Bash Harvest Festival, we're really trying to figure out, can we do this? And if so, what would it look like? Would we have event stations scattered out, and there would be a time start with a very specific small group of people? Or do we have another drive-in movie and kids come in costume and the camera comes along at each car and they get to wave and show their costume on the big screen? Well, how are we going to structure this? So the staff is kind of brainstorming and looking at different ways that we could do some sort of Halloween event. We don't know what it'll look like. Is it possible? We don't know, but I think there's some creative ideas happening, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that takes us through special events.
Do you mean Saturday the 7th of November? Because the 4th is the day of the election.
Pardon me?
For the e-waste, I'm assuming you meant the 7th of November, not the 4th?
That is correct. That is correct. I meant the 7th. I apologize.
Okay.
Good catch. Good catch. Youth soccer. We have very exciting news with our youth soccer. So we can't do a league. It's not safe. It's not allowed by the county. What we're doing instead are fall youth clinics. So Dawn did an RFP with criteria of what it would take to do this. And we accepted the proposal from Sporting St. Louis, and the council approved the contract at their last meeting. It's $79 per player. It kicks off on September 19th at Stacy Park, and kids will be in groups of 9 with 1 professional coach provided by Sporting St. Louis. We're doing a 70-30 split with the contract, and so far we have over 50 people signed up for it. So the kids that had signed up previously for the league got first refusal. Some of them are receiving a full refund, and some are moving over to this program, and they will get the $20 refund because it was $99 originally for the league. You have any questions on this? Okay, great. Parks update. The parks have a lot going on, and I just want to thank again Jim and Ed for all the assistance they've given us. But one of the big things we've been doing is fence line clearing. We started at Indian Meadows. In a set portion of Indian Meadows, we'll be coming back over there in successive passes. And most recently, the crews were working on the pathway. Ed even came out on day, and this is a before picture of the fence line at Indian Meadows, and this is an after picture.
That looks great.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're continuing to do that as much as we can. We have, they're going to start doing that at Old Saints on that terrace along Old Saints in there. We have an amazing trail going in through Stacy Park that Ed pretty much has been the only one at. Unbelievable. Have any of you walked?
Yes, it's so nice.
So you're all welcome to help anytime you want. Jim has been doing an incredible job on the pond. We keep getting compliments from people. Every time I'm out there, people are thanking us for that pond. It looks so much better. We're going to have a professional come out and give us some analysis of how to keep it afloat, pun intended, as part of the park project. We've also had professional health assessments of all the trees, starting with Irvside and going through in advance of this project, and Brian's been coordinating that. We also have been doing an incredible amount of watering. All of the new trees and plants that have come in, the watering has been incredibly hard. It's really important that we did that this year for us to kind of get an idea of what this means moving forward. So one of the things we've talked to the landscape architect about is making sure we have hose bibs installed as these new water lines go in or into our old existing water lines, so that we aren't relying so much on, we'll still have to use these big tanks, but Brian won't have to keep driving away from the park to fill up the tank and come back and water these plants. So that has been a tremendous thing. Storm report, we had an incredible storm last week, and we spent many days clearing it up. We actually went out today and took down another tree on the pathway. We had trees hit by lightning. We had limbs down on Huron. It was smoking for 24 hours before Amory could get out there and clear it, and we could take care of it. And then we've also called in the contract tree to help us remove. So we had a tree hit by lightning on the pathway, and we ended up having to take the whole tree down. So it's kind of sad, but I'm glad we were able to do that. And then on a personnel update, this is the thank you that we sent to council, because Seamus O'Reilly became engaged over the 4th of July weekend, and he and his fiance have moved back to Wisconsin. So we're very thankful for all the work that Seamus did in a short period of time. You know, he introduced our Mini All-Stars program. He started our pickleball program, and it was just a pleasure. He started the after-school basketball drop-in in the gym, and he got the basketball hoops installed in the gym. So he really, in a short amount of time, had a big impact on the programs that we offer here. So we're very thankful for that, and we wish him the best. And now his position is frozen as part of the city's measures during the COVID pandemic. Oops. So that slide I didn't do, because I apologize. I didn't have the council report. So Ruth, over to you.
Thank you, Beverly. Wow, I thought we had long meetings. No, this was a very informative meeting. It was really great. I'm glad that I had an opportunity to sit in. And I'm especially glad that I had an opportunity to sit in, because August is typically when new members join commissions, and old members who have agreed to re-enlist, so to speak, take their position back again on the commission. So I really wanted to just say thank you so much to all of you. This commission has become increasingly more and more important in the overall vision to the city. And your role, each and every one of you that you have taken over the last few years on this commission, has been immeasurable in its importance to all the things that we want to accomplish. And I wish the community knew how hard each and every one of you has worked to be able to do all the behind the scenes things that had led up to the few months that the city actually came out and started to promote Prop C. Had it not been for all the work that you did, we couldn't have gotten it across the finish line. So thank you so much for all of that. Thank you so much for all the effort that you put in on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, whatever it may be, to the commission and to this, and more importantly, to the city. And finally, I want to say a thank you to your spouses or significant others, because they're the ones who also contribute indirectly to the city too. They allow you to have time away from them and from your families, so that you can be a part of the Olivet family and serve the Olivet community. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that, and the council appreciates it too. And so That's really my
Hear, hear.
report. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. And if not, I know it's getting late, so I won't keep you. Questions? None?
Let's hear it for the spouses.
Let's hear it for the spouse. Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth. It's good to have you with us. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I've enjoyed my evening here. And Maxine will be back again with you next time, but I will from time to time just drop in, so. All right, I'm done, Beverly.
Over to you, Rob.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All right.
Aye.
Do I hear?
Aye.
Carla Hanson presented the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Jim Person seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Mayor Springer.